Hello and welcome back to the Wrestling Rant. As you can see, we're actually playing Torchlight this time. Thought we'd change things up a little bit. Yes, this is the Wrestling Rant. Tonight was Friday, however, I did not get to see Smackdown. So we're going to talk about something else. I've got some things I wanted to do in Torchlight, so I figured we could do this while I talk about wrestling. It's been announced that over the last couple of days, today specifically, the WWE has released a few people. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because a couple of these people, really, there was no reason to release them. They were actually good talents and they should have been kept. But, you know, WWE being full of all the morons that they have, they obviously don't recognize good talent. Again, I have to go back to, Cena. The guy's been a piece of crap for 10 years and they still keep him just because he sells merchandise and sells tickets to stupid kids. But, whatever. Some of these people that they released, I actually might agree with because maybe they weren't so good, or, maybe they weren't really going anywhere and there was no purpose to keep them. Right, so, but anyways, the first person I wanted to talk about is a guy named Briley Pierce. Now, you probably have no idea who that is. Well, his real name is Ryan Nemeth, and you may recognize that name. He's Dolph Ziggler's brother. Yes, our World Heavyweight Champion's brother just got released. Now, this one I can kind of agree with because, as Briley Pierce, the guy didn't seem to be going anywhere. He had been a backstage interviewer for FCW, and after they changed FCW over to NXT, I don't even remember. I'm sure he still did a few backstage interviews, but he wasn't doing anything. But I'm pretty sure he is trained to be a wrestler, so why not use him as one? Sure, he's a smaller guy, and he may not be able to compete with some of the bigger dudes, but honestly, they need to bring the Cruiserweight title back anyways. And that would spice things up and give some of these smaller guys something to go after, and also still put on good matches to entertain the fans. But no, apparently they don't feel like doing that, so we're just going to fire all the smaller guys for no damn reason. But yeah, so Dolph Ziggler's brother just got fired. Another guy that they released, according to my source at, well, this isn't my source, it's NoDQ.com. This is a fairly well-known wrestling news site. They cover, like I said before, they cover the news, hirings, firings, they go over Raw and Smackdown. But yeah, shit. But another guy, like I said, that they released is a guy named Brandon Traven. I've never even heard of this guy, so I really can't comment much on him. But yeah, he was one of the ones that got fired. Another guy that got fired was Percy Watson. Now, my opinion on this guy probably differs greatly from most other people. A lot of other people that I've heard talk about this kind of stuff, they actually like Percy. I have no clue why. From what I saw of Percy Watson on NXT, what was it, well, it was definitely season 5, I believe. He was also in NXT season 2. And those were the competition seasons. To me, what I saw was a wasted roster spot. This guy had no mic skills, and he was not a very good wrestler, at least in my opinion. His promo skills were pretty lame. and he didn't have hardly any charisma, and he thought he could get over with this stupid catchphrase. Idiotic. The one notable thing, I believe, was from the second season of NXT, where they were doing one of the obstacle courses, and one of the obstacles was to run across a balance beam. And so, like I said, his little catchphrase, he would go, "Oh yeah!" So, he's going across this balance beam, and I hear some dude in the crowd go, "Slip and fall, oh yeah!" Yeah, exactly, because the guy sucked. I don't really understand why anybody liked him. His promos were terrible. Ring work wasn't much better. And I didn't really see any reason to keep him, so I honestly would not disagree with this decision whatsoever. So there's that. Another person fired from NXT was one of the divas named Anya. Her real name, I believe, is Anna Bogomazova. She was Russian, I believe. And if I remember correctly, there was kind of news where she had been hired. She was like an arm wrestler or something. This big, blonde, muscly chick they hired a while back. Apparently, she just recovered from an arm injury that she'd been suffering from the last few months. So, I don't know. But apparently, she's gone now. So, again, never saw her wrestler, so I can't really comment much. So, you got that. Another person that was let go was Sakamoto, who, as you may recall, was Lord Tensai's little bitch, essentially. But in FCW, he was a fairly decent wrestler. Of course, they had him playing this stereotypical Japanese stereotype gimmick, so whatever. But he was a decent wrestler. I don't know why they didn't have a gimmick where, you know, he got tired of Tensai beating him up and he just snapped and turned on Tensai. It would have been a great face turn, and then we'd have a big baby face, you know, and he could be another cruiserweight guy. It would have been cool. I don't know why they didn't do that. Because I guess, you know, the writers in the WWE just suck at their job. But he was fired too. Another diva that was let go of is Audrey Marie. You'll remember I talked about her in the Divas video from a while back. So yeah, she's apparently gone. Again, I never really saw all that much of her, but from what I saw, she wasn't really all that good, so this is no big loss. The final person I wanted to talk about who was let go of, and I saved this guy for last because I liked this guy, and I thought he had a lot of potential, and I think this is a big mistake in letting go of him. And this is Derek Bateman. You might remember Derek if you watched any of the seasons of NXT. I believe he was on Season 2 as well, and the last season before it got turned over to this new format of the way it is now at the Full Sail University, all that stuff. And I've also heard, by the way, that apparently they're going to be changing it again in July. So, yeah. But yeah, Derek Bateman. This guy had charisma, he had mic skills, promo skills, he had good ring skills, he was a good wrestler, and he had a good look too. So, to me, this makes no sense letting him go. He was also a naturally funny guy. If you remember some of the things with him from NXT Season 2, his pro was Daniel Bryan, and them, of course, going on their big double date with the Bella Twins, if you remember that. You could probably still find that segment on YouTube if you look for it, but that was a very funny segment, and again, I don't understand why they would get rid of him. He was good. He had a lot of potential. And I mean, if you want to release people who aren't going anywhere, I can name a half dozen to a dozen different people that aren't going anywhere, that are just wasting a roster spot that you could get rid of, that have absolutely no potential, no charisma, and aren't very good in the ring. But I've gone over this before. But yeah, I honestly think this is a big mistake letting Bateman go. He was good. That whole thing was out of the way. That was all the releases. The next thing I wanted to talk about was there's a few people who are apparently getting ready to sign with the WWE. They've been going through the medical testing and everything that is required before you sign up with the WWE. And it's been noted by some people backstage that these people are getting ready to sign with the company. And first person on the list is a guy named Sean Ricker. Again, this is a guy I never really heard of, but according to the report I saw, he played a very high-level heel in championship wrestling from Hollywood. And at one time, he was managed by Percy Pringle, a.k.a. the late Paul Bearer. So, really doubt Paul would waste his time on this guy unless he was going to be big. I mean, this is the guy who managed The Undertaker. I doubt he would waste his time on some nobody unless he was good. So there's him. For a while now, people have been noting that Sami Callihan has also been in talks with the WWE trying to sign. And Sami Callihan has a history with Jon Moxley or Dean Ambrose. So, yeah, that would be interesting to see if they can get Sami and maybe have him do something with Ambrose. Maybe Sami could be another member of the Shield or something like that. But he's a good wrestler from what I've seen, and he cuts decent promos as well. Another person that is apparently also in talks with the WWE or doing the medical stuff to sign a contract is Samurai del Sol. From what I was able to find out, this guy is a Mexican lucha style wrestler. And really, that was all I was able to find out about him. Aside from the funny fact that he was actually born in Chicago, but he grew up in, I believe it was Mexico City, Mexico. But yeah, he's a luchador style wrestler, and one of the masked ones, of course. So they'll probably bring this guy in probably to replace Rey Mysterio, since he's pretty much done. Rey just recently had another knee injury. The 10th or 11th now that he's had on the same freaking knee. But anyways, the one last person I wanted to talk about that's apparently also getting ready to sign with the WWE is a guy by the name of Mike Bennett. And for those of you who follow Ring of Honor, you'll probably recognize him as, well, Mike Bennett. He's been in Ring of Honor for quite a while now, and he also is the guy who's currently dating and apparently engaged to Maria Kanellis. You'll remember Maria from a few years ago. She was one of the Divas Search contestants a while back, and she's also was a diva, and she was released a couple of years ago. But, you know, I always liked Maria. But anyways, if they're signing Mike Bennett, they might actually also sign Maria and have her come back. Although I would bet they'll probably only have her as a valet, because as much as I liked her, I will be the first to admit that she was never all that great in the ring. But then again, most of the women they have weren't, so it's not really that much of a surprise. But, you know, she can talk, so if Bennett has problems with that, I'm not really sure if he does or not, but if he does, she could talk for him and just be a manager kind of thing. So that concludes the list of people I wanted to talk about. Yeah, but back to Bateman. I really don't know why they would release this guy. Seriously, you want to release some people that are wasting roster spots? You could release Zack Ryder, just right off the top of my head. He's a piece of shit with no talent, no charisma, and no fucking future. You could get rid of him. You could get rid of the Great Khali. You could get rid of Tensai, Sweet Tea, whatever you want to call him. You could get rid of Brodus Clay. All these big hosses, these big pieces of shit. And if you want to fire people from NXT, there's 3 people that are in a stable down in NXT. They're all crap, not worth shit, and they should have been fired a long damn time ago. And this is the Wyatt family, led by Bray Wyatt, who is Husky Harris, or Husky Harris, or whatever you want to call him. He's one of IRS's sons, him and Bo Dallas. And I just recently saw part of the newest episode of NXT, and speaking of Bo Dallas, it looks like they're going to turn him heel. He doesn't hardly work as a face, so I doubt he'd work very well as a heel either, so I don't really know why they would want to do that. But whatever. But back to the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, he's a piece of shit. He can't hardly wrestle. He's got this terrible fucking gimmick in NXT. And now on NXT, this new episode that I saw, he's now wearing a mask. After getting beat last week by Chris Jericho, which was an episode of NXT that I didn't go over. But yeah, after losing, he comes out this week wearing a mask and saying, "I'm a monster, you people shouldn't see my face." And I'm like, well, you're an ugly motherfucker, so I don't want to see your face anyways. Plus, it looks like this mask is way too tight on his face. Around the eye holes, you can see his skin bulging around the eye holes. It's really weird. And it looks essentially like Cody Rhodes' mask from a while ago when he thought he was disfigured. One of the most ridiculous gimmicks. Anyways. But the difference is where Cody's mask was clear, the mask that Wyatt is wearing is white. So you can't see through it. But anyways, there's him and his 2 little underlings in the Wyatt family. Eric Rowan, this, I believe he's either Irish or Scottish. He's a hoss. I don't think he has any charisma or mic skills to speak of. And he sucks in the ring. And his partner, fuck, the guy's so boring, I can't even remember his name. I honestly can't remember his name. But the other guy, Eric Rowan, is this big motherfucker with a big bushy red beard. And the other guy has a big black beard and long black hair. And Rowan is bald. So, but you've got these 2 pieces of crap. Don't know why they're still around. They're holding, I believe, the NXT tag titles, which they won, I think, last week on NXT, which again was the one that I missed. Yeah, but right off the top of my head, all 3 of those guys could be fired. You could get rid of Bo Dallas, too. You know. You could get rid of Zack Ryder. You could get rid of some of the divas, because God knows half of them ain't worth shit. You could get rid of the Funkadactyls. Neither one of them is any good. You could get rid of one example, and I hate to say this because I actually like the guy, but they haven't done anything with him in 2 or 3 years, and that's JTG. Now, like I said, I like JTG. I liked him and Shad when they were Crime Time. But they fucked that up by splitting them up and having them turn against each other. So you really screwed over his career. He hasn't done anything since then. They had a thing on the last season of NXT while it was still a competition. They had something with JTG and Alicia Fox, where Alicia Fox gave him this makeover. And instead of wearing the, ghetto thug looking, jeans with the, all the designs on him and everything that Jay used to wear, now he's wearing like short trunks. And he wears like a leather vest with a hood or something. I think he looked better before, but fucked that up. And speaking of people you could release, Alicia Fox, she ain't worth shit either. She can't wrestle for shit. She can't talk for shit. But yeah, you want to fire people, there's plenty of people that deserve it. Bateman didn't deserve it. And neither did Trent Beretta while we're on the subject. He got released a while ago, but he was good. I don't see why they released him. And he was a guy they could have teamed up with Kurt Hawkins, who's another guy he's been wrestling steady, but they don't do anything with him. And even though he's actually former tag team champion, of course, him and Ryder were the Edgeheads. They were tag team champions during that gimmick. They haven't done anything with Ryder or Hawkins in a long-ass time. He was teamed up with Tyler Rex, and that was NXT for a while, and that was before Tyler Rex decided to actually leave the company. He didn't get fired. He decided to quit because he had a kid, and he's got his own business going now. So, but Hawkins was teamed up with him, and they actually made a good team. But yeah, they could have teamed Hawkins up with Beretta. That would have made a good tag team. But no, they fire Beretta, and now Hawkins has nothing to do. Hawkins can talk. He can definitely wrestle. He's a pretty damn good wrestler. They don't do shit with him because they don't know what to do with him, because the people they have writing this shit are morons. They need to find some better writers. But yeah, so there's that. Bottom line, there's plenty of people you can fire that actually deserve it. Stop firing people that don't deserve it. In any event, I think that will wrap up this episode of the Wrestling Rant. Thank you for watching. And like I said, I missed Smackdown tonight, so I will probably have to watch it later from my source on the internet. I will take some notes, and I will go over it possibly tomorrow or the next day, whenever it gets uploaded. I will go over it then. So, like I said, that'll do it for this episode of the Wrestling Rant. We will see you next time.